JoAnne and I had so much fun last month in kind of a roundtable discussion group. We are going to do it again. We are going to do it again. We've got some great questions. Some you guys have sent in, some that we have gotten over the years. But we don't want you to be shy if you have any questions. And if you're looking at this in a recording format later on, you could always reach out to us and ask your questions. We are here for your success. So, JoAnne, what are you up to today?
I am just sitting here, eager and willing to educate the masses and really to feed your excitement. For those of you that are on here, and I'm looking at your names, and of course, I see some of you that are familiar, but I see some newbies too. And Sandra and I were where you were. Sandra's over 20 years. I'm over 40 years. Yes, I'm the old one. But we remember that excitement and that love of transforming spaces. And could we take our talents and turn them into a business? So after lots of ups, downs, mistakes, successes, here we still are. And the beauty of it for you, anything that you try to do for your business or anything that you want to experiment, one or both of us have done it. So we really are a good place for you to come to. We're a great sounding board. So the first question that we hear most often is, do I need a degree to be a designer or a decorator? And that answer is going to change somewhat depending on the state that you live in. There are a number of states in the country that have licensing laws. So to use the term interior designer, you must actually have a design related degree and set for your NCIDQ or one of the other tests. However, the term interior decorator can be used by anyone. I think what's really important, and Sandra, I think you'll back me up on this, is don't ever pretend to be something you're not. Here in Pennsylvania, I can use either term. There are no licensing laws. And I, a couple of times, tried the interior designer thing, but even though I have the capability of working with contractors and understanding the compliance issues, I want to focus more on the cosmetic thing. And if I'm suggesting something structural, I just make sure I get advice from an architect or an engineer that allows me to do that. Sandra?
I am going to back you up on that 100%.
I knew you would.
I was always, like JoAnne said, don't pretend to be something you're not. I was always so conscious of that. I would be, okay, I'm a decorator. I'm a decorator. I'm going to tell you, nobody cared. I mean, and even interior designers, and they can make suggestions for moving a wall. They might have a better insight if it's structural or not. They're still going to call an engineer in and before they have a client knock down a wall. So it has never hindered my business that I wasn't a licensed interior designer because at the end of the day, there's projects where we are doing design work. We are coming up with design. So I always say, are you using that design word as a noun or a verb? Are you taking action? But you're
Mhm.
always going to be true to who you are and what you're not. Clients just care that you know your stuff and that you are going to listen to them and give them a great product. So in all these years, 40 and 20 pluses that, it's never made a difference. What's made a difference is knowing what you are saying that you know what to do.
And Sandra, I just want to add to that for those of you that have jumped through the hoops and have your design degree and your NCIDQ, you may have decided along the way, I don't want to deal as much with the technical stuff. I want to deal with frosting the cake. And that's fine. That is the beauty of this business. There's so many ways, and we'll talk about that more as we get in here.
And I will throw this out too. When I had an interior designer take the class, our redesign and our one day decorating and our decorating class. I'm like, why are you taking this class? And her answer was, there were so many things that we did not learn in interior design in during our learning, our classes, that practical color matching a rug, those kind of practical elements. And her other reason was the economy had greatly changed at that point. And there was this intimidating factor by having that design word, behind your name, that you were going to charge more and that it was going to be unattainable for clients. So she said, I want to be able to put behind my name, one day decorating, interior redesign. That I feel like is going to be a plus for me marketing. So that was shocking. And I probably over the years have had 5 people who were licensed interior designers take our class, which I love.
Yeah, well, I've had many more than that. For that very reason, like you say, they had great knowledge, they had the educational backing, but they never learned the practical aspect
Practical.
of working with clients.
I
Okay, next
remember.
question. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, we're kind of going right there. How can you hone your skills? If you're been in business a minute or thinking about being in business, what are some of the steps that you can take to hone your skills versus having to go sign up for some major class? So listen, if JoAnne and I had a nickel for every class that we have put together so that we could help you hone your skills, whether it's, understanding color, marketing, even JoAnne, I was thinking about this when I was looking over some of our questions, like how to get a grade for your website. We talked about it in a couple design boardrooms in the past about if you hadn't made some updates to it, you probably need to. But some of these tips that you may not know. So we've got lots of classes from design lab to the boardrooms to our big ones, our major ones that are so comprehensive. So there's lots of learning opportunities for you out there.
And I also think my home was always my design lab. I was always experimenting. I was always doing new things. From those of you that have been around for a while, have heard some of my disaster stories, the red toilet story and the aluminum foil bathroom. That was all part of my growing process. And I loved the design process so much that I was always up to something. So go back to YouTube and look through some of our videos. If you're brand new at this, I'm just launching this week a new class. It's only $17 and it's about finding your decorating DNA. Take some of those core building classes and then send us some things that you have done. If you're new and you're just working with friends and family, send Sandra over some of your photos and say, tell me how I could do this better. And I think that's the other thing with Sandra and I. We've never had an ego. I would examine every room that I did when I was done and say, oh, I should have had the couches 6 inches to the left.
Mhm.
The draperies should have been 4 inches higher. Analyze your work.
That's a good point. And I do think some of those design principles and our system for how to approach a room, it doesn't matter what style, you can't go wrong. I remember I had a class, we were getting ready to go to this very awkward space, awkward furniture. Nothing just felt like it was going to fall into place. And I mean, this was, I'm going to say about 7 years ago. And I was like, oh God, I got all this, it's going to be a big deal. And I remember thinking, oh, for goodness sakes, you just got to follow the system. And it really was, okay, what's step one? We're going to empty this room. What's step two? So some of those systems and formulas that we have out there take all that guesswork out of it for you. And I think it's especially, well, it doesn't matter. Like I had been in business a while and I was still going, wow, this is
Yeah.
awesome. So
Follow the systems. Yeah.
follow the system. Okay, so how do you know if you are not in business yet? How do you know that you're ready to kind of put your toe in this awesome industry?
Well, from my standpoint, I have never been afraid to fail. And Lord knows I have done it enough times. I think it is just step back and try it. And you may be very tentative, but there's so many different ways that you can help someone that don't that don't need to be, I need to know everything about design, simply rearranging a room like in redesign, and or adding new paint colors and whatever, as in one day decorating. So don't worry about where you are at now, because every job you do is better. Reach out to friends, reach out to families. If they're saying to you, boy, you should be doing this for a living, or they always admire your house, excuse me, it's time to share it with the world. This is a great way to make money, either as your primary career or simply as a side hustle. And again, we'll talk side hustles a little more in a bit.
And you don't have to quit that day job or that security to
Mm-hmm.
start. Like I have had, well, one was a hospice nurse, and this was such an amazing reason to learn and get educated because she wanted to be able to decorate and style her patients' rooms. And I've had a lot of teachers that were getting ready to retire next year, and so they were starting to do some weekend projects. And then well, in fact, that has led JoAnne and me to come up with the weekend decorator. Look for that, guys. It's awesome. We're working on that. But there are ways to start building client and a reputation without, having losing your security net, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, what is the biggest mistake new decorators make? I even find they don't have to be new decorators. I think the biggest one is not one of the biggest one is, first of all, not being prepared how to have a consultation. You can be an amazing decorator, stager, but if you don't consult and properly and listen and know the right questions to ask, then you're already setting yourself up to kind of make a mistake or for failure. So, having those forms and just the knowledge and being able to budget and how to price. That's the other thing. I would say one of the number one weaknesses that will come out first day of class is I don't know if I'll be able to ask for the money. Well, you're never
Mm-hmm.
going to get the money, and
Mm-hmm.
you're just not going.
Right.
So knowing what you can charge and being able to own that. And I literally practiced in front of a mirror when I first started, like being able to say what I did, being able to schedule that consultation, ask for the business, and knowing how to conduct that kind of consultation is huge. I think that's the one of the first steps to get in line before you even say that you're doing this.
And I think all of that you said, and then also understanding, our dear friend Carol Bass came up with the statement 20 years ago. It takes more than talent. And that's what you have to understand. If you're shy, and I find many of us in this business really are introverts, and even as far as Sandra and I go, I would say we are extroverted introverts. I love my alone time. I love times that I don't have to talk to anybody. I'm not a big cocktail party kind of girl. When I am, I'm going to give it my all. But uh, you have to go beyond your levels of comfort and build the credibility so people believe that you're worth that money, that you're going to ask them to pay you for an hour or for a project or whatever. And that, again, we've covered that. You'll see many marketing things out there, or schedule a one-on-one with us and we'll help you get a marketing strategy going. So understanding it takes more than talent is critical.
And that was one of the questions that came in about the importance of marketing. Again, you got to know how to get yourself out there and just being, well, I'll share. I had a student one time say, I'm just not getting any business. I said, well, I can tell you why. I said, I know what you had for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I know what your children, what kind of trouble they've gotten into. I mean, it's one thing to use Facebook and Instagram to, as a marketing tool, but make sure you're not marketing the wrong thing, or,
Mhm.
your skill set is what I want to know.
Right. And
Marketing.
yeah, and I have to say, when I began my business, I probably was in business a good 3 to 5 years before I really understood that it was up to me. Word of mouth was really an important part of it. But to get word of mouth, I needed to have the customers to begin with. So that's when I set out and decided that every week for a year, I was going to speak somewhere. And it was way out of my comfort zone. And I know those of you that have heard me now, it's like, yeah, I just open my mouth and it falls out. But it wasn't always like that. I would speak and be filled with hives and blotches and so sweaty.
Would
But
breathe
in a
heavy.
year, yeah, in a year, I doubled my business. I continued the same strategy the next year. I doubled my business volume, and I did that for like 4 years in a row. And then I cut it back to speaking twice a month or doing something twice a month. You guys have the advantage of social media. We didn't have that when we started. Social media is free. I paid tens of thousands of dollars in advertising as I grew my business. You don't have to do that anymore. You just have to be smart.
Exactly. Okay, so somebody wanted to know how we got our first five paying clients. I got my first five paying clients with my car magnets. Had just moved to Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. I knew nobody. I met my cul-de-sac neighbors and I paid $50, I think, for these car magnets. And I slapped them on there and I got my two cul-de-sac neighbors. I went to the gym, which is, that's a shocker to start with. But in parking in the gym parking lot, I got a call. She was one of my best clients, and had a gorgeous home in Sawgrass, and she was an artist. And so every client I was getting also had their own network of friends or, whatever social groups they were in. But those card magnets got me my first five clients. And I would take them off on the weekend, but I'd slap them on,
Mhm.
when I wanted a client. And it was amazing, but it kind of was my social circuit, so to speak. So,
So I think it's important. I too started out with signage on my vehicle that was removable, and I would ride through neighborhoods that I wanted to work in. So it looked as if I was working in that neighborhood. I scheduled many appointments standing outside a Steinmart store. I miss Steinmart so much. And people would see my signage. I would go out, and there would be people waiting for me. Eventually, I found these little things that I put on my car that had business cards. So when I stopped, it sat right above my door handle, and you could just take a business card. Um, do not, do not, do not reach out to your family and think they are going to be part of your business. Quite frankly, I didn't want to work with my family and close personal friends. Um, I wanted to be at least one step beyond that. So don't count on them to be your business. You can count on them to be your marketing team. So my first five came. I had a wallpaper and painting business. My first three clients happened to be wallpaper and painting clients because when I was on the ladder hanging wallpaper, I would say, "Oh, Mary, you need to move your sofa over there," or "Mary, your drapes aren't long enough." And so they started calling me and saying, "You weren't really that great of a painter, but I loved your ideas about my room. Can you help me?" And so, and I didn't really like papering and painting, but it was a legal way to get into houses. So I did that. I also, at the time, got my real estate license and started staging before there was ever even a term for what I did. I just knew if I made it look better. And so I started staging for people that were in my office. And that led to a continuation stream of business. And then eventually I went on to other marketing aspects.
one other thing is you may be fortunate enough in the beginning, which one of my cul-de-sac neighbors, Katie Hauser, just to this day, I can't stop talking about Katie Hauser because I stopped counting because she had young boys. She was involved, played bunco, the whole thing. I stopped counting after I got 25 referrals from her.
Yeah.
She was amazing. I now have my Katie Hauser in Scottsdale, Rochelle Dietz. I love her. And one day she sent me a text. She goes, "Okay, I'm going to be your marketing. I'm in charge of marketing." And I'm like, "Okay, you keep going." I mean, and so if you are fortunate enough to find your Katie Hauser or Rochelle Dietz, then
Mhm.
there are things you can do for them. For instance, I still charged them because, they expected it and I appreciated that too. But if they called me and wanted me to support their charities, make a basket, that basket was pimped out. I mean, it was great. I gave hours worth of, free decorating for them to auction off. But
Yes, yes.
ironically, it would always come back, and that client, whoever got the freebie, they would, have more hours involved. So I think that does always help if you can have your own little personal marketing team. Okay, let me see. Is it really necessary to have social media and a website? JoAnne, I'll
Yeah.
let you talk on websites.
Oh my gosh. Yes, 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 and yes. Um, I can't tell you how many websites, and some of them may be yours that are on here today. But it's like you did your website, you put it up, and that's it, and you're done with it. It's kind of like you're still, walking around with a mullet hairstyle. You need to update your website, your marketing strategy, every couple of years at most. The DSA has gone through many transformations over the years. Websites are so easy anymore and relatively inexpensive. You can do it on your own. If not, we can do it for you. And you can get a new website and a marketing strategy, starting at about $700. So it is important to have those marketing tools in place that make you look unique and not like everybody else.
Okay, so if you're starting out, you're asking yourself, okay, I'm going to get a website, but I have nothing to put in my portfolio. So you can always use your own home. Even vignettes are very powerful. Just focusing on bookcases, because
Mhm.
bookcases are a struggle for people. So you could just have a vignette up, like I told them, I promise I'm going to get to this, my own bookcase back here, before the next boardroom. Goodness. But those are those opportunities, even putting together mood boards, even being able to use AI to show your ideas. And we do get this question a lot lately, is AI going to replace us? No. I got to tell you, it is so powerful to be able to translate what's in my brain to show somebody this is the stone I want us to put, and I want us to take it all the way up, and I want it to be this unexpected, chunky cobblestone look that you don't see that often. Oh gosh, I've never seen that. So you're still never diminishing your ideas and your brain, but it's how can you get that across? So those are ways that you can create your own portfolio. Let's see, JoAnne, anything else you want to add to that one?
No, I love what you're saying, Sandra, to use AI as a friend and an assistant, and we've done seminars on that before, is a great tool. AI can create a pretty room, but you are really going to be the impetus behind it because you're going to be able to fine tune it. I was working on a project this morning and put in my first prompt, and then I was able to finesse it. And when I was done, my client could really see where I was headed with that. So uh,
Uh,
take advantage of technology.
And this is because when you said that, it jogged something. We have been putting some wallpaper in this niche in a bathroom, but the vanity is gorgeous. It is the drama piece. And everything that this client is picking out, and that even some of the ones I tried, it's taking away from what should be the showstopper. But so that's where to your own self be true. I finally said, I don't like any of these. We're just going to have to pause. We're not going to rush, having them paint this bathroom until we really love this paper. And so that's where being honest with your client, you don't have to have every answer yet that she appreciates. She goes, I agree. I totally agree. So just, keep that in there. You don't have to have all the answers right away. Okay. As I suspected, pricing and profit. So we're talking about how do you know how much to charge? That is such a biggie. When I started, I did a lot of research. What's being charged in my area? What can I charge because I am certified? I'd only been in business a minute, so I did not feel like I could go at the top of the range. But I also realized if I look good on the web, have some portfolio pieces that showcase what I can do. I start to get clients. The more more years of experience, the more certifications, it's like, yes, my rate went up and I could justify it all day long. And I only had one person question me, well, you're the most expensive person I talked to. And I said, I totally understand that. She goes, can you tell me why? That's what I'm talking about, being prepared about why you can justify what you're
Mhm.
doing. And at the end of the day, I'm big, big flag. You do not change your prices for anybody. Maybe, you don't charge your mother and your sister if because, but I charge the same across even my Katie Hauser, my whoever I had done a lot. I do other things to thank them, but stay true to your rate because that will bite you. Oh, big time.
Yes,
Well, you only charged her so and so, and you charge me this. So
yes.
know what you're worth. And JoAnne has, JoAnne, do we have that webinar up? There's a great formula to kind of give you an idea based on years of experience, those kind of things.
I don't know if we have that on YouTube or not, Sandra. We'll have to check on that. But I think the other thing to keep in mind too is, let's say you're in an area and you see that most people in kind of your level offering the services that you want to offer, and let's say they're at $100 an hour. What you need to understand too, if you're new, are you worth $100 an hour? In other words, if you and I were side by side working on a project, I dare say that I could probably get it done in half the time of you, not because I'm better, because I'm simply more experienced.
Mhm.
So I always say, do not penalize your client for your learning curve. So you might charge $50 an hour to begin with, because that job that would have taken us both 6 hours, what takes you 6 hours might take me 3 hours, and then you keep raising your prices. I have a few clients that I've grandfathered in there, but not many. They have to be really special. And in many cases, I'm working now with third generations of families, which is pretty exciting, actually. I kind of get handed down like the fine china. So I'm Melmac, but
Oh my
or
gosh. Yes.
Corel. I'll go with Corel because most people on here wouldn't even know what Melmac was. But
I didn't even know
so
that.
yes,
Yeah.
look what's being charged. Years ago, I took a seminar, and this was probably 30 years ago. They said, find out what the going rate is for your hairdresser an hour. And that's a comparable place for you to begin, because they
Well,
also
we
are
know that's
trained.
not cheap either, y'all.
No, that's not a cheap date. So kind of think of, what do I pay for a cut and a color, and how many hours did it take? So there's kind of an industry that, like us, may not have a design degree or a degree, but they have gone for extra training, and they've had to
They
be,
stay current.
yes, they stay current. So they meet many of our same parameters.
One of the other questions that we get in terms of pricing is, and how do you charge is, I still charge by the hour,
Mhm.
because I started out doing that, and a lot of people can charge by the project. I have a couple clients, if I had charged by the project, I would be in the hole of probably making 50, $20 an hour. So that is just kind of what I have done consistently over these years, and it's worked. I mean, I always point out too, and this is something to remember for your marketing as well, your client consultation. I have often pointed out that I am service driven, not product driven. And that is one reason that it gives, you can just see clients like relax and take a breath. I'm not pushing the sofa just because it's more money and I'm going to get a bigger commission
Mhm.
on it. I want it to look good in the space because we got a whole house to do. Or we got,
Right.
like JoAnne said, another generation to bring in here. Um,
Right. However, don't miss out on opportunity to add to your hourly fee. If they do end up buying a sofa or you're buying things, make sure that you're putting yourself in a position that you are making money on the product that is paid. But um, don't leave money on the table that you could make.
yes. Okay, I am always busy, but I am not making money. Well, now we're going to have to really cover this because then it's a hobby. And
Mhm.
I can't tell you, I got invited to have coffee numerous times, and that was so I could give some free advice. I had to then realize that I needed to be busy. I needed to have another appointment, whether it was getting my hair done. But, that is goes back to what we talked about mistakes in the beginning. Knowing what you're worth, knowing how to have that conversation. I don't cross the threshold. That's kind of my guideline when somebody calls me, unless I have covered how I charge, what you can expect out of me, what I want to expect out of them, because everybody wants to know that. And if you don't initiate that conversation, then you're already kind of setting yourself up for a mistake or two. I don't mind giving some free advice here and there. I mean, like if we're, what do you think about this color? But we're not going to spend more than like a 2 sentence answer, especially if you're there for, cocktail hour or something.
Mhm. So think about your hours that you are working. How many of those hours are billable as opposed to non-billable? So you want to make sure that your billable hours are more. Non-billable are going to be the hours that you're invoicing your clients, working on your marketing. And really, you want to be in the 70-30 range. 70% of those hours are billable. The non-billable stuff, um, returning items that maybe didn't fly, whatever that may be. You just have to learn to work smarter, not harder, because what happens is your non-billable hours can overtake your process.
Okay, JoAnne, what services have we made the most money?
For me, one day decorating was my biggest moneymaker because one day decorating and color consultations, I'm going to say too. Color consultations got me in the door of so many projects that I probably never would have had because color consultations were not intimidating and everybody's afraid of color.
Mhm.
So color consultations then gave me an opportunity to build that know, like, trust. One day decorating was up there, and my third one was seasonal decorating. Those were the three places. Custom window treatments too was another one, but really color consultations and one day decorating were my biggest money makers.
I would say when I started out, it was that one day decorating, which was a good way for clients to, start to know, like, and trust you kind of thing. You would work with what they had. And then at the end, if there was a few items missing, you would give them just a list. So they appreciated the fact that you were like telling them what to do. I can help you as much or as little as you need for me to. And so I would say I started out and mine was redesign. I agree, color consultations. And now I am definitely doing more like, I mean, like right now we're doing some construction work. We're knocking down the island that's, countertop. And that's where it's important to have your resources to start kind of gathering them, make sure they're good, reliable, insured
Right,
resources.
right.
So mine shifted because I would say I would one month or one quarter I might be a little bit heavier with decorating versus staging. And then the next month I'd be heavier staging versus decorating. And I appreciated having multiple services because
Mm-hmm.
that kept me always busy. And I had and we loved, I mean, JoAnne and I do training. So that kind of has been, do some workshops. You can charge for workshops.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so working with clients, what do you do when a client has bad taste?
Oh, I've had a couple of them over the years and I loved them dearly. And what I would say to them is, please don't tell anyone I helped you with this because we're creating something that is so personal to you. But that's also what makes a good decorator. So I think if you have a client that doesn't have good taste, that's when you need to implement. It's so critical. The answer to the question why, not just, oh my God, Sandy, what are you thinking? Sandy, I love your idea. And I'm using Sandy because that's one of my actual clients. That she kind of saw things differently. But explain to them why. That's a great idea, but let's step it back or forward or right or left a little bit because tell them the why. And so for all of you, understanding the answer to the question why, you have that natural talent, but when you can explain to a client why that isn't as effective. I had one other client too that everything I came up with, it was like she kept coming back to the well, but she just couldn't grasp what I was doing. Well, she never knew, she was an adult, that she was colorblind. She did not know that she was colorblind. And I don't even remember how it happened, but we had a meeting and she said, oh my God, JoAnne, I found out I'm colorblind. So whatever you tell me to do, that's what I'm going to do. She was seeing colors completely differently than I was, but was unaware of it. So
That's
tell
funny.
them the answer to the question why, and always still make them feel part of the process and have a sense of humor.
We have a slide. We had it in one of our PowerPoints for a long time. It's like the ugly sofa in the right place in the room
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
better than this gorgeous sofa in the wrong place. And I remember thinking,
Absolutely.
but I was moving furniture around for a client one day, and I got the furniture placement right because in my mind I'm just following this system and what's the focal point and all that stuff. And I got the sofa placed, and I looked at her. Her name was Sally. I said, Sally, I have to admit, this is such a gorgeous sofa, but I did not appreciate it because of where we had it placed before, where you had it placed before. So those are the things to remember too, is like that can just turn things around for that client and how they love working with you. I was gonna say, yeah, the bad taste thing. It's like I've had some of that. But that's where your job is to make their furniture look good. In fact, I had one of my very first classes, I had a very talented gal in it. And after we left the project, it was for class, she was very quiet. And I said, okay, what's wrong? She said, I didn't like any of her stuff. I said, but look at what we did with, she was into theater. And so we used her playbills and stuff. And I mean, it was adorable when we got finished. I said, but look how it turned out. She goes, I know, but I just don't like that stuff. And I thought,
Mhm.
she goes, and I'm not going to
That's
work
fine.
with people if they don't have my style. And I said, you're not going to be very busy. And she wasn't. But it is honoring the client. And that's
Mhm.
what they're going to love and call you back for. Okay, let me see. What else have we got?
We have a question, and then we're going to try to go a little
Faster.
faster because we are running longer here today. Um, Vanessa says, I love don't tell anyone I did it and why. Such great advice. And it was said tongue in cheek. By this time, I had become dear friends with her. So it was said tongue in cheek, and she knew she had a very outrageous love of color, bold, bright, vibrant, knock your socks off. Um, anyways, I'm glad that was helpful. Okay, we're
Okay,
gonna
we're going
see
to
what we
hit the
can do
lightning
because
round because we kind of have hit a lot of these already questions some of you
okay,
guys have sent in. So lightning round is this. Can AI replace places? We kind of covered that. No, no, and no. It
no,
only can
no,
make us look better.
right.
Is decorating a recession-proof business? I'm going
Yes.
to answer absolutely. What was it, 2008? Everything was slowing down. I got all braced. I thought my business will too. I literally got busier and I thought, what is going on? And it was because of the recession when people were spending a lot more money where they didn't necessarily have to. They still needed a facelift for their house. So I
Mhm.
got busier because of that redesign, our one-day decorating service, and just come in and tell me what paint color to pick. So it was quick, quick consultations and I loved it. Okay. Should I offer virtual decorating? JoAnne, I'll let you take that one.
Absolutely. And virtual decorating has become so much easier because of AI. So when you were worried about figuring out all the programs, AI is such a great tool for that to help show your concept in a way. And there's a number of ways you can just give them a concept. You can give them a concept and a shopping list. So yes, 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 virtual decorating is a great addition, side hustle or primary business.
Okay, one business expense worth every penny. Okay, of course you have to have insurance. Don't cross the threshold without insurance.
Right.
For me, it has been hiring what I know could fall through the cracks, whether it's social media expert or it is an assistant that does all my bookkeeping and just keeps me straight, just every little anything she'll do. So those were my two ones that I just can't live without.
And Sandra, you're making such a good point because I think when you're an entrepreneur and if you're just starting out in particular, not making a lot of money, you say, I have to do all of these things because I can't afford to pay someone. Well, you may pay someone that is bookkeeping $25 an hour, $40 an hour. But if you're doing your billable hour concept, you're out there making 75, 100, 150 an hour. So
Mhm.
do the math. Don't try to wear all of those hats.
Okay, what's one expense that you would skip, JoAnne?
Huh, that's a good question. I should have thought this through. I feel like the Jeopardy music is playing.
I,
Um,
I you know,
I,
Go ahead.
I think one expense that I would have skipped over the years is there some business consultants that were not in the business.
Mm.
They gave me a very generic plan. This is what you would do. And it was money wasted because I needed somebody that really had walked in my shoes and had a great business mind. So that was money wasted on business consultants, not in the industry. Not only not in the industry, but not actively doing. I see people out there that are offering coaching and stuff, and they've never done a consultation. So that was money wasted, I felt.
I'm glad you get talked first, so then it gave me a chance to think. One expense that I stopped spending money on, which everybody thought I was crazy. But again, that's where I'm saying be good to be true to yourself or your own plan. I stopped inventorying a bunch of staging furniture and I still was able to stage. That's a whole nother webinar. But I skipped that warehouse expense and inventory expense.
Hmm?
Okay, what's one
That's a
book every
very good one.
decorator should read? Well, I should have thought this through too. JoAnne and I have a book, resources and guidelines that every decorator and stager should know. It's just like a little Bible. It's a 5 by 7. I mean, good gracious. Maybe I can find it here in a minute. Yeah, hold on. I got
While
one.
you do that, let me ask Lila ask. Hi, Lila. The 1 day decorating, how long do you do it for? Is it 90 minutes? It really depends on the project, Lila. Um, if the project is bigger, then obviously the price point is bigger. So I'm going to charge according to how much time I would think that it's going to take me. Most projects are going to be in the 2 to 4 hour range. I would say most of them are half day, but sometimes they're full day projects because I may go shopping in the morning and then come back and put the room together. So it really depends on the project. And Lila, if you want to call me, you and I can talk that through a little more.
It's good to
Sandra,
give them
there,
that range too.
yes.
Here is the book. It's like a nice little 5 by 7, and I will give this as a gift to if it's, I mean, not just a 1 day decorating, when you're in and out per se, but like my client that we've got an ongoing project and I'll sign it. Thanks for letting me help you make your home look beautiful, something, along those lines. But it's something that it has everything from color to rug sizes. Okay, enough about us. What's one habit that made the biggest difference in your career?
Understanding that marketing came first, decorating came second.
I,
Making that shift to
Mhm.
spending actual time to building my business and my credibility.
And I will say in the beginning, I got up, got dressed as if I had a consultation, just in case I got one that day. But I would get up, get dressed, have on some jewelry because that's, motivates me, I guess. And I would sit at my desk and plan something. Like in the beginning, y'all, we didn't have you get all the forms that you can brand with your logo when you take our classes. We didn't have that in the beginning. So I would get up, go to this desk. I mean, I would be ready and I would go make a form or reach out to somebody because I was so new. I didn't, everybody was a resource at that point. So,
And we have always told our students, do one thing for your business every day, kind of like a one a day vitamin. Do one thing for your business every day, whether it's making a phone call, making a post, reaching out to a client, be consistent in that area.
and reach out to other people. I mean, like we motivate each other. Okay, what do you think about this idea? Okay, look at this part, all those things. Find yourself a JoAnne, find yourself a Sandra, in your group. I mean, and of course we're here for you too, but okay, that was our lightning round. And if anybody has a question, fire away. Otherwise, we record it, we'll pop it up on YouTube for you to listen to again.
And I think too, just keep in mind, when it comes to succeeding, it's a blend of talent, systems, and marketing. And so we're going to be talking a little bit more about that. And Sandra had mentioned to you our weekend decorating class that will be launching in August. And what we wanted to do was create a program for those that love decorating, but just want a little side hustle. They want to be able to dabble in it and maybe it'll grow into something else, but they have a full-time job or they have littles at home or whatever. So the weekend decorating project is geared for you to having one project. It might be decorating a porch, it might be decorating a room. So stay tuned for that. And let's see if I got all of your questions. Looks like we have all of your questions. Thanks for hanging in here.
Yeah.
We hope you like this format. And
Oh,
in July,
don't
go
forget
ahead,
to,
Sandra.
oh, I think you may have gonna say it. Don't forget to enter the contest. Don't be shy.
Oh, yes. Yes,
Um,
yes.
on the DSA site under enter the contest, enter the national contest. So it's a great way for you to, again, get in that office, send us your work, and follow the guidelines and how to enter. Make sure the subject line and all that's there. So,
Okay, we're here for you. Oh, we got one more question pop up here. Loved it all, said Vanessa. Well, thank you, Vanessa.
good.
We're here for you. Um, and that's what I was going to say. If you have a question, reach out to us. Send either of us an email. Um, uh, Give us phone calls. Send us a text message. Whatever. We're here to help you succeed. And then also watch because the DNA class is all recorded and ready. I just need to get it uploaded, and it's a fun interactive class to discover your DNA. Okay, we'll talk
Thank
to you
you.
soon. Bye.